Alright, we go on to something called as a class or creating your own data structure. Okay, so you're going to create a class of your own, and let's say, so if we are going to the concepts basically of something called as object oriented programming, right? Now, as I said, in Python, everything is an object of a particular class. Everything. Python deals with it in that particular manner, right? It is purely object oriented. Everything is dealt with in terms of classes, objects, their functions, and so on, right? So if we have to say for object orientation, let's say, so you have a class. So in that what are the concepts which are important? You have an object, okay, it is of a particular type, and of course you have nothing but type of which class. That's what we just saw. Let's create our own class. For that, we create a new file, and in the new file, let's create a class. Let's create a class which says class student. Now a student, this particular class may be data type which we are going to use for every student which enters our particular organization. So if I say class student, and if I say pass, for defining a class in Python, this is all it takes to start with a class. Pass is nothing but, okay, there must be something which is there inside a particular class. That is why you just say pass. That's it. And then of course you save it, and you can say something like, let me just take you to, right, so if I say, I'm gonna say class examples, okay, and if I run this out, my class is create. I need to check it out. How do I create an object of a class? How do I create an object of a class? Very simple. Let's say I'm creating my first student with the object of the class, let's say student. I just need to say the class name. This particular construct creates an object of a class. Let's say if I create another student, S2, of type class student. So now if I say S1 dot, S1 can have different members. So S1 can be first student, and it will have, let's say, a name. Let's say it's going to be ABC, and it's going to have a roll number. Let's say it's going to be 10. Let's say S1 dot gender is going to be equal to a male, right? I'll put it capital M. And if I say S1 dot mark, maybe he got 80 marks, right? So now S1 is an object of type what? Of type student. Underscore underscore main underscore underscore dot student. What is the meaning of this underscore underscore main underscore underscore dot student? If your S1 was a type of class student, but this class student is defined in the same program that we are running. If the student class was imported from another program, if you are going to import this particular class which from another program, it would not be, and if you create an object of that class student now while running a new program which has imported student, you will not get underscore underscore main underscore underscore, right? We are going to see that in some other time. For now, let's just continue with this and say it is a class main dot student underscore underscore main underscore underscore dot student. So if I say S1 dot name, it will say ABC. S1 dot roll, it's 10. S1 dot gender, it's going to be male. So now you ask me, sir, what is S1? All these members, how are they being stored? It is being stored as a dictionary. So if I say S1 dot underscore underscore dict underscore underscore, and if I say enter, can you see the dictionary is storing it as a key value pair? Roll 10, marks 80, gender M, name 8. Is that clear? So the same way you can have object, the second object S2 currently, does it have anything? It will say no, it's an empty dictionary. So let's say I create S2.name equal to def, right? And I say S2.roll is gonna be equal to 11, and if I say S2.gender is equal to female, and if I say S2.mark equal to 90, right? So if I say S2.mark, it will tell me what it is. And if I now say S2 dot underscore underscore dict, It will tell me all the details of that particular student. All right, this is how you can define student. Is that clear? Is it possible for me to delete a student? Yes, I can. Is it possible for me to delete an object? Yes, I can, by using the del function. Del s2, there it's gone. Now if I do an s2 dot underscore underscore dict, it says name s2 is not defined. There I have removed a particular student. Is that clear? Now let me say whenever a student is entered into the system, okay, I should have four parameters defined. For the student itself. Okay, I should have it defined. So how will I say the minute a student enters, it should have four parameters already ready for it defined? Okay, how can I do that? Okay, I can do that because in a concept of a class, whenever you create an object of a class, there is a method which is called at the start always, which you can write it and you can change it, right? That method is called as underscore underscore init underscore underscore. And every method of a class is being called by an object, which means that object needs to be passed as one of the parameters explicitly. Not implicit. Okay, it is explicit, which means self means that particular object itself, which means, let's say I want to define four parameters the minute a student enters into the system. Let's say self.name, of course, I don't know for now, it's not applicable. Self.role, I can just say for now, okay, he has not been assigned roll number, let's say -1. Let's say self.gender, again I'm going to say not applicable. And then I say self.mark, it's going to be, let's say 0. When he enters, these things must be already defined. If I do a run for this, and now if I create an s1 is equal to student, and if I create s2 is equal to student, let's say s1 dot underscore underscore dict underscore underscore, what does it say? Sorry, it says none, right? So if I say s1 dot name, oops, s1 is not equal to student. I made a mistake. S1 is equal to student, you need to define it like this. And S2 is equal to student needs to be defined like this. Alright, we just copied the address. That's a problem. Underscore underscore dict underscore underscore. Right? So what is it saying? Name not applicable, roll number -1, gender not applicable, mark 0. What about S2 dot underscore underscore dict? Name not applicable, roll -1, gender not applicable, mark 0. Can I change S1 dot name? Yes. Can I say that it's going to be equal to ABC? And now if I say S1 dot underscore underscore dict underscore underscore, it's going to be that. And S2 dot underscore, it's going to be still not applicable, because you changed S1, the name of student 1 has been changed. And of course, I need to define the other parameters, which I can define. Now, I created a student, but when I created a student, I didn't pass any parameters. But what if I make my program in such a way that I make it mandatory that when a student is created, he should pass in few parameters like his name and his gender. I make that compulsory. So how will I make that compulsory? Can I say self, comma, name, comma, role? He needs to pass this out, or name, comma, gender. He can also pass his role, and he can also pass his marks. His marks also can be given. His earlier, maybe his earlier percentage or his earlier marks can also be passed in the start. But if I need to make them default, I need to say let the marks be 0 by default and the roll number be -1. Maybe they can be assigned a little later, which means now in this, what do I say? Self.name will now be equal to the name that is passed. Self.role is going to be the role that is passed. Self.gender is going to be the gender that is passed in the function. And self.marks is going to be mark. If I run this program and if I say yes, now if I say S1 is equal to student with an empty this thing and I say enter, it says no. It's not going to define that. It says missing two required positional arguments, name and gender, which means I need to say ABC, and if I say the gender is M, enter, it's defined it, s1 dot underscore underscore dict underscore underscore, he's already, ABC and gender is being marked, but roll number and marks have been given a default parameter, default value. Let's say I create a second student which is going to be having the name XYZ. It's a female. Roll number, I can just assign it. Maybe she got assigned a roll number that is 10, and her marks has been previously 90. So now if I do s2 dot underscore underscore dict underscore underscore, all 4 parameters have been defined. Though 10 and 90 were not compulsory to be added at the start, you give them, but when you put them there as one of the parameters, the values of roll and mark of that particular student are also going to change. So this is how you have parameterized init method, right? Init is going to have a parameters passed to it, and that is how it is going to do that. Okay, now let's say I'm going to define something like this. I'm going to define another parameter. Let's say I'm going to define another function. The function is going to be something like this. The function is going to be a function which says calculate grade. Calculate grade. Of course, every function needs to be called by an object. When the object will call it, let's say s1 dot calculate grade, which means we want to calculate the grade of s1. But every function in Python needs to have a self which is there explicitly there as one of the parameters. And I can say if self dot marks, if self dot marks is greater than equal to 70 and self dot mark is less than equal to 100, right? You can't get more than that.